which is the most expansive vibration on the planet. Let's call forth this appreciation first and foremost for ourselves, for being the phenomenally courageous female-bodied beings that we are, who have chosen this time and this place to come together, to be embodied on this planet, to walk in female form as this reclamation of the divine feminine is coming through globally at this time. What a tremendous, courageous thing it is to be an embodiment of this force and to be doing the work to help to clear the pathway for the new earth, the reclamation of this creation portal that we are all a part of, that we are all living on. So thank yourselves for the incredible feat of just being here. We'll take a deep breath together with that. We can also offer gratitude to the ancestors who are holding us now, who are working in conjunction with us, both to share their medicine and to benefit from the healing that we are all undergoing at this time as well. So we welcome in the ancestors who have come before us, in particular our medicine grandmothers who hold this wisdom and pass it down through us consciously or through the realms. So thank you, grandmothers, for the way that you hold us. You can feel them applauding. Oh, thank you for the stories and the wisdom that you share. And thank you for reminding us that we are the midwives and the birthers, the creatrixes who weave realms and help to bring creation and manifestation through. Thank you, grandmothers. And thank you, grandfathers, for helping to hold this sacred container so that as women we can relax knowing that we are protected, so that we know that the portal is held with heart-centered awareness, so that only medicine and service of pure love, pure light, and pure medicine can come through this space. And so that anything that is within or around us that is not in service to our highest good can now be brought to the light of conscious awareness, be transmuted into love, and return to us as nourishment. Mm-hmm. We welcome in Gaia, the earth energy. We welcome in the cosmos, our dear sister moon, the sun. We welcome in the elementals, the mermaids, the fairies, the Ketumble, the gnomes, whatever other earth elements that are here engaging in this ritual process today and forevermore. We welcome you and appreciate your guidance. And so it is, sweet sisters, I activate this temple grid, and I activate the grids of every being on this call, now and in the future. Welcome. So I want to introduce my dear sister, Christina Bertelli, who is one of the most powerful herbalists that I know, and who has been a tremendous grounding rod to help to bring this creation through. Christina is a mentor. She is a wisdom keeper of divine feminine ecology, and beyond that, she is also an incredibly compassionate soul who I am just so honored to co-create with. And Christina actually offered me my first womb steam, I want to say something like 4 years ago. And the moment that I sat on that steaming pot, I was immediately transported back to the red tent days of kneeling over terracotta pots, surrounded by sisters, mothers, and grandmothers on lambskin rugs. And my heart just burst open in this tremendous feeling of homecoming. And so it is an incredible privilege to introduce Christina now. Take it away, sister.
Thank you so much. Lovely to be here. Thank you, Hannah, for creating this container. So I'm going to talk about connecting with the earth and the essence of the feminine and renewing that relationship. So we think of the earth as feminine. We have that in our language. I'm going to just kind of back up because I realize I also want to say just a little bit about my offering in the course. Is that how we said we'll begin? Okay, so backing up a second. My offering for the Blood Moon course is going to be looking at the symbology of the blood. So we'll be exploring what some of the texture and color means as signals and symbols for our health. And a bit about what I call sacred feminine ecology. I call myself an herbalist because I have studied and I continue to study plants, and a feminine ecology mentor is another name I gave myself because that's how I see the female system. I see this ecology and all the beautiful systems working together, much like the earth. So that's kind of my lens that I'm going to share with you all in terms of looking at our menstruation and the workings of our womb. So that's what's to come.
Phase, internet gods, bless us.
Right?
I wanted to hear. Maybe we could all just take a breath together, sisters included who are watching from home. All right, inhale. Exhale with sound. Get in your body.
Oh, Christina, my love, did we lose you? All right. Well, while we're waiting for Christina to come back, we can take a moment then to just sit with what she was sharing about the interconnectedness between. Oh, she's back. Awesome. So I was just inviting everyone to sit with what you had shared about the commonalities between the earth ecosystem and the feminine ecosystem and how incredible and powerful an awareness that is. So that was about where we lost you, if you would like to continue, sister.
Okay. All right, I've locked us in on some stronger networks here, so I think we'll be good for the rest of the time. So I'll just start from the beginning. The earth as feminine is a concept in our culture and in our language that we share and that we affirm with our language. We say Mother Earth, we say Mama Gaia, and we think of the earth as our mother. She provides this home for us and is this fertile soil from which we grow medicines that we harvest, and we grow food that nourish our body, much like a mother would. So we think of the earth as our mother, and then we have this womb, and whether we have an actual physical womb or the energetic space of a womb, this part of our bodies is also this fertile soil from which we create and bring forth people, things, projects into the world. It's this creation bed in our body. And now, if you are here, I am certain you are kind of sort of warming up to the idea or really clear of the idea that menstruation and the womb is this astounding, like powerful, potent force. And so you may or may not have that currently as part of the top layer of your psyche. And what I want to introduce is that that may be currently this top layer of how wonderful and magical your menstruation is. And there's bottom layers. There's subconscious imprints that we all have that are not necessarily positive, that are really deep below. And we pick those up from our culture, from our family, from our caregivers, in our early childhood days. And so, and the further back those days are, so the older we are, just the more distant we've gotten from those early childhood memories. And what I want to say is that those imprints matter. They still exist in this subterranean, subconscious layer and in our womb memory. So the first step that we can take to kind of clear out and clean out that old data is to become aware and bring consciousness to those memories. So what I want to invite us to do is a little exercise where we go in and kind of turn the lights on to some of these areas that have been dark, and dark not necessarily in a bad way, but just that haven't been looked at, that haven't been seen in quite a long time. So let's, again, bring our hands, you may want to warm them up, and bring our hands to our womb. And take some connecting breaths on your own to drop in, and close your eyes for sure to go inward and offer yourself some space and time to connect with your womb center. And the first question that I invite you to ask yourself is, how do I feel about my menstruation? With emphasis on the word feel. Not really thinking, but feeling. What was it like your last moon? What was it like for you in terms of experience and emotions? If it's coming next week or the next couple days, what kind of emotions are you holding in your body as it looms on the horizon? And all of these feelings are welcome, and they're your own. They need not be shared with anyone other than your own self, your own precious heart, to bring awareness and connection to what's below the surface. What do you call your menstruation? And does that term feel good? So as you connect in with this blood relationship that you currently have, I invite you to visualize a red thread symbolizing your menstruation, and lift that thread up and start to follow it. And this thread is going backwards in time and deeper down in subconscious layers of you. So follow this thread down, down, and back, back, back behind you in your history, going to your first menstruation, when blood first arrived in your life. Start to recall maybe how old you were, where you lived, and what that was like for you. Emotionally. And what did those around you, your caregivers, your mother, your parents, your family, what support, if any, did they offer at that time? Can you remember the first person you shared with that this new element of womanhood had arrived in your life? Do you remember if you were excited or horrified or both? Invite any new memories that just haven't been reflected on or recalled. And then start to travel as you journey with your red thread now forward, exploring some of the new moments. Maybe there was some embarrassing moments. Maybe there was painful moments. What were those moments for you? And journey forward through the years, through those notable times. Did your period ever go away? Did your period ever keep you home from school? What are the highs and lows of this journey? As you follow that thread forward, reviewing your menstrual magic history, keeping on following it forward to maybe a couple years back. Was that cycle experience any different than it is now? What are some of the other terms you have used in your past to refer to your cycle? And where did you learn them to refer to your menstruation? And inviting in new recollections that haven't been felt or seen in a while. And turning on lights in the dark corners that haven't been reviewed. Also, accepting and inviting in some of the exciting aspects of your menstrual history. What are some of the times where you really maybe started to tune in to its power? How did that change your life? And what doors remain unopened that you'd like to explore further around menstrual power? And you're still moving forward with this thread as you come forward to your body that you're inhabiting now. In this moment on this call, I'd like you to also see the way in which this thread is a web with all the women that are gathered here tonight, doing this visualization, reviewing and remembering our history that actually goes even farther back than we went in this exercise. And joins here in this moment now with all of us here together, exploring the possibilities of our future experiences with menstruation. So you can come back and maybe give your womb a little rub and gentle connection, and open your eyes and awaken with us here. So thank you for doing that. And we may not have time to have a full, exploration of what you experienced. I hope there was some revelations, maybe some reconnection points, and maybe they were small and they're things you can explore further, little seeds that want to germinate with you on your future journey. And the main piece that I want to emphasize is that there are layers. There are many layers, and they go deep. And we have a cultural imprint around fear and shame and negativity that really affects our experience of our cycle. I was asking you all to think about some of the terminology, and a lot of those terms relate to how menstruation is inconvenient, how it's painful and shameful, that it's unspeakable. So we want to use like a euphemism, talking about aunt flows here. It's kind of like a code word. You don't really want to directly go and speak to it. So I invite us all to really question that. And if you've been questioning it already, what are the next layers? What more can you question about what's become habit or just a cultural belief that has been unchecked? So two, I think, foundational cultural stories that I think we have that I want to kind of expose as a myth are, one is the idea, especially those of us that are healers and energy workers, we are taught the chakra system, and that these upper chakras of our heart and our crown chakra are really where we connect with spirit and God energy. And there's a lot of practices that try to encourage us to move up into this part of our body. And that kind of creates this pretty clear message that we want to get out of our root chakras, and that these parts of our bodies, sometimes it's subtle, sometimes it's not that subtle, that we are told they are primal and unevolved and base and dirty, essentially. And we want to get out of that part of our body to our more spiritual centers. And what I want to really invite us to do is, peel that layer away, because what we want to embrace our whole bodies, our right side, our left side, our upper parts, our lower parts, as one sacred being, one sacred entity. And the more we can unite that, the more our systems can work together in health, communicate better, and we can have this psycho-spiritual, physical well-being fully intact. Another idea that we just live with all the time is this concept of the earth being, of course, it's a big mound of dirt, and dirt being bad, dirty, we want to clean ourselves, and blood too, blood being dirty, we need to wash it off. And this is a big cultural point that can be hard for us, especially when it relates to blood. But what we're going to start to learn, especially as you take the journey further, but also a little bit tonight, I think, is the way in which blood is actually, they're learning there's stem cells in blood. It's quite medicinal. And you may have heard of a book called Eat Dirt. We're really learning now how our microbiome is benefited from dirt. And the more we try and separate ourselves from the earth and from dirt, the more unhealthy we are. So we're coming back closer to our connection with the earth, literally with dirt, and with our menstrual blood and our connection to our cycle. So what I really want to just close in saying is that we have this, our bodies have sacred earth energy within them. And especially us as women, we have that power to embody that fertile soil concept even more. And so we do this process of shedding blood as part of the cycle of life. And the more we can honor that as women and align with the earth and with the rhythms of the earth, we can truly liberate ourselves from some of these cultural shackles and just shake that free, and invite in new perceptions. And the more we can do that, the more we can shift our concept of menstruation as painful and shameful. So I hope that there's some openings from that experience and some curiosities too that are piqued, that want to be explored further. And I would love to shift us to a new presenter, which I think will be a perfect next step. We've got a wonderful woman named Judea. And Judea Barboza is a woman who is just a priestess walking on the earth. And I'm certain she's going to be bringing us into this sacred connection with our blood and some of the activities that we can do to create and cultivate this connection of honoring our bodies and our blood. So thank you, and Judea, take it away.
Hello, everyone, for being here and for witnessing this magic taking place. I've been crowned the Rose Womb Priestess of the Blood Mysteries, and something that I'm very passionate about is devotion to self, self-intimacy, getting to know oneself honestly, and really committing to oneself. And so I'm all about devotional rituals and creating that container for oneself to really just feel and be in our bodies, how deep we can journey and travel into our own being. And so my topic for the Blood Mysteries, my offering, is self-care devotional rituals and practices for before, during, and after our cycles. And so in my offering together, we dive deep into the womb memory together. Together we reconnect with the womb of the cosmic mother to help us release any trauma, any shame, limiting beliefs that keep us disconnected to that sacred womb space and also to Earth herself. We reawaken practices of forgiveness and self-acceptance and opening our hearts and our wombs to an increased sense of worthiness through these rituals and devotional practices. And so within this offering, we journey with womb blood ceremonies, with rituals, with womb awakening through guided meditation, mantras, Shakti Rose womb dances, womb blessings, womb clearing, womb breathing, and also womb steaming, which is my favorite practice. So a little taste of what I'll be offering will be, first, I want to dive deep into the first phase. The first phase represents our winter time, our shed, when we bleed, and creating a sacred space during this time and getting to know our fluids, our menstrual blood, with entering into the space as if we're a child again. And with pure curiosity of what this magic is and what it holds, and anointing ourselves with it, and also giving it back to the earth. So first I'm going to talk a little bit about the first phase. And so the first phase is our first time that we bleed. It is the period of the new moon, if you're bleeding with the new moon. And this phase represents winter. It represents a time of stillness, a time of silence. And when we enter this phase with silence and with deep meditation, we activate the crone wisdom that comes within this phase, the sage. And we're able to tap into the spiritual realms and to get downloads from these realms on what or who we are becoming and how we can show up for ourselves and for our community. It helps us to ground into a space of quietness, to really think and plan and set intentions for projects in the future that we wish to work on when we have the energy to work on them. So I work with the rose womb and I also work with the rose energy. And to me, the rose is a symbol of passion and of creativity, of sensuality. And the rose also has thorns, and those thorns work for us to create boundaries and to be okay with telling people exactly where we are and what we need. So reflecting on back when I was menstruating and was afraid to tell people out of fear of judgments that I needed to be alone and I needed to have my own space to be with myself, and that I didn't want to take on any projects during this time. So creating a sacred space could look like anything, and it doesn't have to be fancy. And it could just be you taking a day off from work. It could be you taking 10 minutes out of the day if you can't take some time off. What I like to do is when I'm home and when I'm surrounded by all of my red fabrics, to put it all up and to imagine myself in a red tent in my room and like never leaving, and asking people to bring me teas and asking people to bring me food, and just really in the womb, back in the womb. And meditating could look like pulling tarot cards. It could look like singing and dancing and just being with your cycle. And for anointing, I like to free bleed. And this could look like something like this. I like to journal on my moon cycle, and I free bleed right on my journal, and that is in a way anointing. On this page I have beautiful ideas and different passions that I just sit with, and my blood is like an intention. It's powerful medicine, and I bleed right onto it. And I also enter that space with my fingers and put a little marking anywhere I feel called to on my body. And sometimes when I'm feeling really wild, I'll paint my whole face with it. And at first it may seem weird, but when you really get to know yourself and when you really get to know your body, you just become so enticed by it and by that medicine that you just want to keep doing it every day. And yeah, anointing. So earth my body, water my blood, air my breath, fire my spirit. We as women, as earth embodied beings, we are a divine cosmic copy of Mother Gaia herself. And so when we anoint ourselves, we also anoint the earth. But another ritual that I love to do to really ground in that intention and those affirmations during my shed is to give my blood back to the earth. And that is an anointing Mother Gaia. So this could also look like anything. It does not have to be a certain way. And know that our communication with our Mother, Father, God, Goddess, spirits, our guides, whatever you call it, it's a communication that is very unique to each and every one of us. And how I pray is not going to be how you pray. So keep that in mind when you're performing your rituals and are in ceremony with yourself, how you want that to look like. For me, it's going outside barefoot, sitting in the dark at night, because I love connecting with the moon energies. It really brings out a wild, feminine, enchantress vibe for me. And I like to sit and hold my blood next to me, heart centered, and then womb center. And I sing songs because my songs are my affirmations. And, I'll just, admire my blood, and I'll reflect on times that I haven't been able to give my blood to the earth or to sit in ceremony like this because of past stories and shame. And I'll even recite the Ho'oponopono mantra. I'm sorry, please forgive me, I love you, and thank you. And I may even break down and cry and know that I'm forgiven and know that I am loved, and that, me taking this time to be with myself and to be with my blood and giving it back to the earth is healing, not just myself and my past and my present and my future, but it's healing the 7 generations that are coming in and are not going to have to replay those same stories of shame and embarrassment, and that they can grow up to honoring their blood and being around other women in the red tent, or having mothers or having sisters that are there guiding them each step of the way. And also for the men in this world, and the calling of Mother Gaia for all of us to embody not just the feminine, but the masculine as well. And it's healing that. So, yeah. Just sit with that and all that I just shared. And take a deep breath. And let it out, and you feel the call to you. I want to, since I have a little bit more time, to talk about the red tent in that sacred space. I feel that is very vital and very important. So if you don't know the red tent is a sacred space and sanctuary for women, for nurturing and coming together. So whether this is created with other women or just with yourself, you can create this space, and you can create it in a way that you want to. So in this space, when you're with other women or with just yourself, you can really take the time to learn more about your cycles and how it connects to the rhythms of the lunar phases. And also, this time is a sacred time of supporting each other through our rites of passage. When we bleed, it's like a death, and after that shed, we are reborn. We are not the same. Our cells, our DNA, all get upgrades during these times, and it is a rite of passage, an initiation on its own. So the red tent is where all aspects of women come together: the maiden, the mother, the crone, the wise elder women. They come together and they share stories of the ancestors that have been passed down from generation to generation to generation. So we're there and we're connecting through stories. We're connecting through past stories. And as women, we have always had a innate desire to come together in community. And the circle has always been our first teacher. So just sit with that and that remembrance of being with your sisters in the sacred space and remembering who we truly are: magic, powerful, wise queens, weaving together, cooking together, singing songs together, giving birth together, sharing stories of our first experiences of intimacy, sharing ripples of wisdom with each other. And there's no reason why our sisters should feel profoundly unsupported in this time, lost and lonely in this time. Let's bring back our sacred practices and remember this gift. There's no coincidence that we're all here and that we're all talking about this magic that we sow monthly. So, thank you. Thank you for being here. I want to give a beautiful introduction to my wonderful sister, Allie McPhee. God, I love her so much, so much. Allie McPhee is a women's health educator, a hormone balancing chef, red tent facilitator, tantrika, and owner of the hormone health cooking blog, Modern Goddess Lifestyle. She helps women balance their hormones naturally through nutritious recipes, exquisite self-care ritual, and divine feminine empowerment in her online programs, Juicy Feminine Living, cooking classes, retreats, and one-on-one coaching. She is exquisitely in the process of birthing a cookbook on women's hormones health. She also facilitates womb clearing practices to help women honor their sacred no by creating boundaries, releasing emotional repression, and radically loving their bodies and sexuality. So it's a warm welcome to my beloved sister, Allie McPhee.
Thank you, Jadea. Wow. Beautiful introduction. And thank you for that exquisite transmission. I'm ovulating, I'm not bleeding, but part of me is like, oh, I wish I had my menstrual blood now so I could be working with it. Thank you. And if anyone feels like commenting as we are going on with this ceremony, please feel free. I think I fixed it so you can see each other's messages down in the little chat box that you'll find. And so what I wanted to share today, I have two practices, and it's based off of my journey of healing my own hormones. So at one point I was on my bleed for, well, first I was on the birth control pill. And then when I decided my womb was like, she didn't want it anymore. She wanted to return to the cycles of the moon and the natural cycles of my hormonal fluctuations. So when I stopped taking the birth control pill, I didn't have a bleed for 2 years. And then when it came back, I ended up being on it 2 weeks every single month. And I just realized this the other day. It was making me laugh because my life number is 22. I was born on the 22nd, and that's Magdalene, and that's the day of this ceremony today as well. And so when I think about it, I didn't have a bleed for 2 years. And then I got it 2 weeks every single month. So there's that 2, the polarities that are always showing up in my life to create union. But from this journey, I dove into nutrition and science for hormone balance. And although it helped, I became so much in the mind, right? Because sometimes when we're studying and we're learning the methodology and there's all this information coming in, we can get very much up in here. And so that was helpful, but then there was a whole process in my womb clearing, womb wisdom, learning how to listen to this space, the tantrika practices that I learned, like yoni massage and sacred breast massage, and trauma release. It helped me come into the body. So it wasn't just I was applying the knowledge and thinking it up here. I was feeling it and intuiting it in this divine vessel that we all have. So that is going to be a reflection off of what I'm going to share with you in my 10 to 15 minutes that I have. I'm going to share a brief overview of hormone balance. I'm going to share my screen with a graph, kind of get like some nerdy, sciencey information going here. And then after that, I'm going to slow us down and take us back into the body. So wherever you're at right now, if you have access to your fridge or you have a snack in your purse, wherever you are, I'd love for you to get a piece of fruit or some kind of food that is aromatic, because we're going to be using that in our sensual practice after my share on science and hormones. Leanne says, yeah, science. That's awesome. Naomi says, yes, I'm studying nutritional science. Great. So I'm going to give us a brief overview, but in my share in the Blood Mysteries online seminar, it's going to be a full on download. So if this is kind of coming fast, I'm just kind of going over an overview of what happens in a 28-day menstrual cycle hormonally, so we can kind of understand what that's like. I'm going to share my screen. Can you all see this? Panelists, nod your head if you can see it. Okay. Yeah, I have a big yoni in my screen back here. Okay. So here is a graph of the menstrual cycle. So this is based off of a 28-day cycle. I know some of us don't have 28-day cycles. Maybe we maybe we end up bleeding longer, so we have 34-day cycles, or maybe we end up bleeding shorter, so we have 21-day cycles. It's different for every woman, and there's reasons why. I mean, some can be stress, some can be where we're at in the cycles of womanhood, if we're getting close to perimenopause. There are a number of reasons. But we're going to go off of a 28-day cycle and play around with those numbers just as a general reference. So Jade was speaking of the seasons that we go through hormonally, and she was talking about the winter phase, which is the menstrual cycle. So we're going to start there, and then I'll go through the 4 seasons that we experience internally, what they're called scientifically, and what happens with our hormones. So on this graph, right here in the beginning, it says our menses, day 0. Once you start your bleed, that's considered day 1. That is our inner winter phase. And as Judea so beautifully explained, all the different rituals and slowing down and the practices we can do to honor our inner winter of stillness and receiving those intuitive messages. So as you see here, the uterine lining is shedding. We are starting over, essentially. All of our hormones are returning to a low level. So estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, all of these hormones are going to be the lowest at this time of the month because we are starting fresh, we are releasing. And then once we release our uterine lining, most bleeds are around 3 to 7 days. Then we go into our inner spring. This is called the follicular phase. This happens around day 5, day 7 of our cycle, and this is when we start to be woken up again with new spring-like energy. And that's because our body is starting to produce higher levels of estrogen. So you can see here in this graph, estrogen is starting to climb. And estrogen is a hormone that builds our uterine tissues. So we just released our uterine lining. Now we're building it up again. It is a hormone that gives us our breasts, our hips, our curves. And it helps us to feel very creative. And you can think about it like as a computer screen having all these tabs open. That's our brain on estrogen. And the higher it goes, the more, the more creative energy, the more being able to multitask. That's estrogen. Estrogen is also helping follicles with eggs grow. So in our follicular phase, 15 to 20 eggs are released on the ovarian wall and start to grow with the help of estrogen. And in this process, one of those eggs become the most dominant and will grow with the help of estrogen and will be released during ovulation, which here you can see is day 14 of the cycle if we bled on day 28. So estrogen climbs, the egg releases here on day 14. And you can see up here at the top of this graph as well, here's the growing follicle, and now the egg bursts through the follicle here. So during this time, our body produces cervical fluid for 3 to 5 days that comes from our cervix. It's different than arousal fluid. It comes from our cervix, and this is to help nourish sperm. So if sperm is present, then once that egg is released, which only lives 6 to 24 hours, then sperm can get to the egg, fertilize it, and then it travels down the fallopian tubes and implants into the uterine wall, into our womb. And so after this egg passes away, now we see the estrogen levels drop, and we see this new hormone called progesterone is going to climb. And during our ovulation, this is the time, again, that we're most fertile. We can think about this as a season of summer where all the fruits are full and dropping from the trees, luscious, Mama Gaia in her fertile energy. Now we're going into our inner fall phase once the egg has been released, fertilized or not. And in this phase, our body starts to produce progesterone, which is a hormone that helps us ground. It's a hormone that helps us calm down and feel organized, kind of nest. You can think of pregnant women. They have a lot of progesterone and they're nesting. They're preparing for a baby. And the reason why our body produces progesterone at this time is because as the uterine tissues were building from estrogen, now progesterone comes in to help thicken it and sustain it. So if we did, if that conception did occur, that the uterine lining would be strong to prevent miscarriage. So we have progesterone, and it continues to build. Our uterine lining down here continues to thicken until our body recognizes whether we got pregnant or not. So you can see up here in this graph of the follicle. Once this follicle releases the egg during ovulation, it collapses on the ovarian wall, and it gets a fancy term called corpus luteum. And then the corpus luteum is actually what produces progesterone. So it'll continue to produce progesterone until our body's like, hey, I'm not pregnant, and then it'll start to disintegrate. And as the corpus luteum disintegrates and less progesterone is produced, it'll signal the start of our bleed. So as you can see here, now we're getting our bleed, and all hormones start to return to a low level. So that's how the menstrual cycle works. So again, we have menstrual phase is our inner winter. Follicular phase is our inner spring with the help of estrogen, that new growth energy. Ovulation is our summer phase. That is our fertile time of the month. That's the shortest time of the month. It's 3 to 5 days. And then we have the longest phase, the luteal phase, which is our inner fall. It's nesting and slowing down. And then we go back into our menses. So the time that is crucial for us, that a lot of us experience and feel, is this late luteal phase right before we bleed, our inner wild woman phase. This is the phase where we may see PMS. Please make space. It is a time to invoke the wild woman. It is time to dance with all the emotions, because everything that's coming up is meant to be felt. It is a shedding that's happening. It is a detox for those emotions to come up and feel them. It is a tool of transformation to understand what are we to let go of this month, and how are we to love ourselves more? How are we to express our truth more? Because whenever we don't express, that's repressed, and then it can manifest in the form of terrible cramping, migraines, food cravings, emotional eating, all of that stuff, anything that comes with PMS, as well as it can get louder and start to contribute to imbalances of estrogen and progesterone. And whenever there's too high levels of estrogen, it's called estrogen dominance, which is very prominent in Western society right now, because so many plastics and beauty products have phthalates and BPA, which are forms of fake estrogen, chemical estrogens. So it's really messing up the body. But anytime there is excess estrogen in ratio to progesterone, we may start to see estrogen dominant issues like very heavy bleeds, as well as cysts on our ovaries, fibroids. Fibroids are grown by estrogen, as well as PCOS, which are 12 or more like cysts on the ovarian wall. And so in the Blood Mysteries online program, I'm going to be giving a full-on transmission of this information, as well as what foods to eat in each of these cycles, to help you learn, how do I want to nourish myself during my menstrual phase versus my ovulatory phase? Because some foods help to nourish and build and remineralize, and some foods help to increase cervical fluid, nourish the tissues of the follicles that have the egg, and nourish the egg so that we have healthy fertility, as well as foods that are going to help with this please make space of our cycle, so that we're not getting terrible food cravings and we're not feeling super bloated and in a lot of pain. And so just briefly, in your please make space, adding in anti-inflammatory foods are so powerful. So white willow bark, that's an amazing herb that helps with inflammation. Turmeric, whether you cook with it or put it on your food, or you take it in a capsule. Any of the chai spices. I have a chai tea concentrate recipe on my YouTube, Modern Goddess Lifestyle, that I actually show how to make. You can make it in your home. And cloves, cinnamon, all of these things are really good for anti-inflammatory effects. But to shift it from more of like the science and coming back into the body, because right, we're humans, we're living in this physical material world. So how do we actually be in these vessels and work with these vessels and understand how these seasons are shifting inside us? I'd love to start a sensual embodiment practice to engage the senses. I'm going to stop the share here. And I would love for you to grab your piece of fruit or food. And I do apologize, those who are in my Juicy Feminine Living program right now. I do see a couple of, I think I see one of you. This may be a repeat, but it's always fun to do. We just did this last week in Nutrition for Your Inner Goddess. Oh, good. So in our please make space, we might be having cravings, right? And we might be beating ourselves up because we didn't want to eat the whole ice cream pint, even if it's coconut bliss vegan. We still didn't want to do that. So instead of beating ourselves up, what I'm inviting us to do is to release the attachment of how we want to show up in this world. A lot of us have programming from society. I mean, who doesn't? We're in this world with all sorts of messages on the media that say we should look like this, we should lose this much weight, we should look like this in a bikini, all of these stories. So oftentimes we get attached to goals of when I lose this weight, when I become this, then I will feel happy, then I will be successful. So we are releasing that story and we are coming into who are we now? And we have all of that within ourselves. We are beautiful no matter what. We can be happy internally rather than seek it from outside sources. So coming into those goals, becoming those goals, is slowing down and coming into where we're at now and being that, becoming that internally by activating those codes from within, living it, and then our reality shifts. So we're going to dance with our food cravings. Maybe some of you have cravings right now. Maybe I think someone said she was on her bleed. So we are going to dance with our food cravings. So whatever you have, I have a little piece of chocolate. I see Hannah has some fruits. Okay, awesome. So close your eyes. Just take a few deep breaths. Retrograding into your body temple, allowing all the noise to be muted, coming into this space with your breath, maybe placing one hand over your womb and maybe touching this piece of chocolate or fruit or whatever you'd like to your chest, to bring it to your heart. And then bring it up, cross from your face, and slowly bring it up to your nose. And as you start to smell the aroma, allow yourself to stop, just pause, and breathe in that scent with your nostrils. Engage your sense of smell. As you breathe in the essence of this food particle, notice if your body starts to salivate. Notice the physical experience you are having within your being. And then bring it closer and closer right underneath your nose. And take another deep inhale, enjoying this exquisite sense of smell that you have. And if you have a stuffy nose, no worry, just breathe in what you can. And now open your mouth, breathe in from your mouth. And then bring the piece of fruits or food particle to your mouth, touching your lips, maybe moving around your lips ever so slowly, sensually connecting with this exquisite nourishment from Mama Gaia. Allow your tongue to come out and taste it. Maybe play with yourself a little bit. Put it in your mouth, tease yourself, take it out. Wet your lips with the taste of this yummy food medicine. And when you've teased yourself enough, allow yourself to take a bite. And slowly, allow yourself to savor that taste. Breathe in, and as you chew, taste. And allow yourself to feel what that feels like in your mouth, the sensations, if it's soft, if it's wet, if it's bitter. And then when you're ready, swallow, and then feel that food coming down your esophagus, into your stomach, to make medicine within your whole being, to give you nutrients for life force energy so that you can carry out your dreams, your epic visions, your roles as beautiful mother, goddess, student, lover, best friend, whatever way that you show up. See this meal, this food, nourishing energetically all that you are to birth. And then take one more inhale and exhale together. And come back to this present moment. And I would love to hear in the chat from anyone who wants to express, how was this for you? How was this process of slowing down as we ate and engaging all of our senses? I would love to hear your experience, as well as this is a tool that you can use at any moment that you start to feel chaotic, that you're having food cravings, and then you find yourself eating the whole ice cream pint, which may happen at times in our life when we're stressed. And it's about slowing down, because really what we're wanting is to feel pleasure. Really what we're wanting is to feel in this vessel. So whether we're eating something that's super sugary and sweet, coming into the whole experience of it, being with it, engaging all of our senses, that can help us slow down to receive the pleasure of food, right? Because food should be pleasurable. So I'm seeing Naomi says, amazing and sensual. I felt really happy and good. Awesome. Leanne says, delightful. Stephanie says, it's funny because bear medicine helps encourage me to slow down and make orgasmic love to my food as I eat it. Yes, eating is love making in a way, right? Because we are literally taking something physical into our body. Awesome. I'm going to tune in real quick online to see if anybody is posting in the Facebook group, because this is being live streamed there.
Allie, there was a question from earlier by Vanessa Robbins about that I just wanted to circle back to real quick about when you were talking about the egg release. And she asked, how does this affect someone with one ovary?
Oh, thanks for asking. So the egg is actually only released from one ovary. So both ovaries can release the eggs, but one of those eggs will become most dominant, and it depends. It's either or ovary. So if you just have one ovary, that could impact hormone levels. So I don't know if you've ever had your hormones tested after the ovary was removed, but you still will be releasing an egg each month, and it will just be specifically on that ovary, and you'll know which ovary is releasing it, so you can send extra love to that ovary as you prepare for ovulation. And awesome. Lionhawk says, I actually got a little impatient, but I forgive it. It was very enjoyable. Returning awareness to experiencing. Yummy. Awesome, sisters. Well, thank you so much. That is my little medicine share with you all. And I think Aishia just got up. I'm about to introduce her, so we'll wait for her to come back. Oh, there she is.
Getting the microphone on.
Awesome. Okay, so I'm introducing our beautiful Aishia Lynn, who supports women awakening their full, authentic, creative expression and sacred power through the shadow and pain of womanhood into ecstatic soul embodiment from the pelvic root up. So she guides in pelvic care therapy and in this natural womb healing in her womb dances, which I'm super excited to learn more about. I've kind of been following you. I'm like, this woman is powerful, because I'm once I learned about tantra and healing and yoni massage, I became fascinated with the pelvic bowl. So we are so blessed to have you here with us today. Her Red Tent experience, her embodied woman leadership trainings, she has so much to offer. So thank you for sharing your medicine today, Aishia.
Hello, ladies. I just want to thank you all being on the caboose here of the program. It's been so wonderful to experience each of you and your medicine, and was really touched by the opening meditation, the red thread, Christina. That was so powerful, brought me to tears to feel the first blood, to think about where we were, to go back and remember. And thankfully for me, it was a beautiful moment to quiet with the quiet day at home. My mother was in the back with some friends. And it made me think about what I'm about to share in this offering. So it's 7:15, so we'll stop at 7:30. Yeah. So what I want to share today in this 15 minutes is just a little little seed planting around the interconnectivity of the body with the earth and how important that is for our vitality. I'll share a little bit of some of my stories. And the way I teach is usually sitting down on a tea date. It usually bounces around. I'm very feminine, so it usually comes around full circle. So what I'll be teaching in the bigger experience of the Blood Mysteries Voyage will be more specific to movement. And the way I teach is through the body, is always through the body and through movement and bringing us back into the experience of our emotional and physical body, earth body intelligence. And so I'll be sharing a lot about that in the program. In the program, we will highlight, we'll talk more, focus on the pain and of having a period and the pain and grief that also starts to occur with perimenopause, approaching menopause. And there is kind of this, now that I'm in perimenopause, I can say that there's something similar around the grief of this sense of pain in your period or irregular periods. And then perimenopause is like this hyper, it can be like kind of hyper amplification of some of the experiences of, pain and grief of the loss. And this sense of feeling, who am I now? What's happening? Who am I? And so some of that can occur too when we have all this pain. There can be sometimes this sense of betrayal by our own body or by spirit or by life when you're just in so much pain. So we're going to address the pain and how bringing circulation to the body has been ancient medicine for women. The dance, the movement, the yoga, the being on the earth, the harvesting. You can see I'm sitting in a squat position, and so many of us have such a hard time in this position. I did for many years. And this is our birthright, to be able to have this openness in our body in order to have free flow of circulation. And I believe everybody, depending on your architecture, can have some form of freedom in the pelvic floor in order to have this vital circulation that really does create the balance that we're longing for, to release the pain and to help with the grief. So in the program, we'll talk about grief and how important grief is and how important grieving is and learning to grieve. And so there'll be some dance practices to learn how to work with our grief and work with our pain. Nothing's a magic pill. And I believe even the discomforts of our journey as a woman are doorways to our growth. And I've been through the gauntlet of many, many intense issues and abuse in my life, and they have been doorways to an amazing and profound power. I would not wish this on any sister. I hope women can start to experience life someday without being abused, attacked, raped, put down, shamed. But we're in this human physical earth realm, this realm of dualities, and it's pretty unlikely that anytime soon that this will come to be. I just, in the grand scheme of the earth plane and the Kali Yuga that we're in. So how do we work with this? So once we have been through the abuse, once we have been through the deep grief and the issues that bring up pain and contraction and the anatomy of shame in the body, what do we do with that? What do we do with that? And for years, I felt like a victim to it. I felt that my power had been taken away. And even in moments when I was empowered and I was a dancer and a ceremonialist for many years, I'm still both, but I was doing it on stage around the world. And I felt very powerful. People saw me as powerful. But behind the scenes, I still felt my inner world, my self-esteem was so contracted from the abuse. And I knew I had to go deeper with my healing. Dance has always been my medicine, because I'm very ADD. It's very hard for me to sit too long and just listen. And what I learned about this, so please, if you're listening to me, move around. I won't be, I won't be offended. What I'm learning is that more feminine beings, whether you're in a male or female body, often need movement to absorb intellectual information. And the school systems are set up for a more masculine, physical experience for people who thrive in that kind of intellectual, mental realm. And so, you know, you can see the statistics around men and women and educational levels and statistics around that. You know, women aren't as smart or whatever that crap is. But it's because the educational systems weren't set up for us to thrive, especially if you're a more creative, experiential, tactile, sensual being. So what I want to share a little bit today is kind of riff off of Miss Allie into the sensual realms. And dance has always been my medicine because it's how I learned, it's how I took life in, it's how I remembered that I was intelligent. I was considered learning disabled because I could not learn in those environments. And when I started learning about women's cultural practices many, many years ago, you know, I'm 47 now. So I started this journey in my mid 20s after I was raped at 25. And it was an intense journey of starting to learn, what do I do? I felt like someone threw me up in the air. I felt very empowered and very righteous at 25, and I was on a path. And after I was raped, it felt, I was bewildered. I was bewildered that somebody could that I could be held down, you know, that it was bewildering. And it's a story I like to share because I feel like we don't talk about these things, and we need to, not to keep belittling or victimize ourselves, but as sisters to help each other rewrite the story and reclaim our power. And one of our feminine powers, our superpowers, is sensual connection. It's essential for the female body and for men in many levels. I'm teaching a new class called Root for men too, but I just want to focus on women here because we have a different kind of brain and receptors, and it's essential for women to stay connected to the earth, the web of life, and this sensual power that's our taste buds, our senses. Our senses as women feed a kind of intelligence that awakens this third eye, this sixth sense. The womb has been called a brain, and so has the clitoris. So these are wise parts of a female body. Today, in my larger program, I'm going to teach you more about the interconnectivity of the clitoris with the earth and our breasts and the earth and all of that. But we're going to start today with feet. We tend to not consider in our modern culture, we tend to not consider our blood and our bleeding until something is very painful, right? And then we want to, we're taught to take painkillers to make it go away so we don't have to feel. So my recommendation is that we go into the pain and we learn to dance with the pain and learn from it, to learn from her, and to go in and discover where in the body connects to our pelvic floor, our uterus, our beautiful hormone cycles. And Ms. Jediah talked about the red tent. This is where we can focus this attention and learn from our sensitivities and how the world, the web of life, is connected to our wombs. So with that said, let's go into a little meditation. Let's start with our feet. The feet are the doorway to the body. They're the doorway to the pelvic floor. Whenever I do a womb session with women, I always start with their feet. I give them a beautiful herbal tea foot bath, and then we go into oh, so sorry. Have you heard me? I give them an herbal foot bath, and then we work with the points of the body, the reflexology points on the feet. So we do this in the South Indian temple dance traditions. We are taught to really take care of our feet because they have these very large energy centers right in the sole of our foot right here. So if you're sitting down, if you can get in a comfortable position and bring your feet close to you, the soles of our feet can breathe up the earth. You have this very large center where it's almost like a straw. You can breathe up the earth from your feet. But one of the things that the feet do for us as women, it connects us. And so our pelvic floor, our root, is the first chakra in the physical body. And the rest of the chakras in the body rest and nest into the chakra underneath. But the root doesn't have a chakra underneath in the physical body, but it has the body of the earth to rest into. So feel your pelvic floor and breathe in to the 4 directions of your pelvis: hips, tailbone, and pubic bone. On an exhale, send the breath from your womb, your sacred circle, deep into the earth. And feel that tap roots just connect you to earth. And feel that just like that, just plugging in there. So you're stabilized there. Now we're sitting and we're rooted into earth. And just with your left foot, in the bigger program, I will teach more of the specific meridian points. Right now, I want you to just feel your hands touching your feet. We're going to go through the elemental touches. If you're a dancer, if you dance the 5 rhythms or the elemental dances, this is just like that. We go through different rhythms, different ways of touch and movement that moves through the cycling of creative energy. So let's just start with sweeping our feet. Sweeping our feet, honoring that these feet touch the earth. And with this touch, we're awakening the receptive power of our feet to draw in the power of the earth to feed and nourish our pelvic floor. And so much of the contraction, so as I talk, I just want you to sweep your feet and see if you can relax your pelvic floor and the womb center inside of her. There we go. Taking a big full breath, steadying your root in the earth, and letting your body, as you sweep your feet, let her move, the intelligence of your body. She wants to sway and move. And it might be internally, it might be more physical. Just trust how your body wants to move, your spine. Now, what touching our feet in this way does, it starts to relax the pelvic floor. It starts to let the ligaments and the muscles of the pelvic floor and the uterus relax, and gives her information that all is well. All is well. You can relax. So now from the sweeping, I want you to start to, this is a sweeping, it's kind of like this watery touch. You're just sweeping from one end to the next. Now touch your foot like the earth with deep pressure. And don't worry about where you're touching. Just trust where your body, your foot wants you to touch. And feel like the steady pressure of the earth when you press your foot into the earth, and push your fingers with a little bit of a circle motion into different points of your foot. Trust your own intelligence to know where you need a little more pressure and where there might be a little more pain or discomfort, I want you to stay in there and circle around with a little vibration. And as you do, I want you to pay attention to your belly and soften your belly as with your breath. So the foot points have been known to activate the contraction of the womb during pregnancy. So you want to be very careful doing this. If you ever massage a woman's feet when she's pregnant, it can bring on birth. But in the same way it does that for a birthing mother, it does this for your uterus. So if you have painful periods, get down on your feet here and start to help those ligaments relax and contract in the right pulse, in a rhythmic pulse. Now let's move into the fire touch. And the fire touch kind of looks like this. It's like rubbing, slapping, plucking. Think about the fire. You wild women out there, you beautiful young wild ones. You know what the fire is like. Heat. Get some heat. Get some power moving. You want to get some Shakti moving. Yeah. Press into that heel. That's a big point for the pelvis. Yeah. Good. Spread the toes. And this is a loving and playful fire. There we go. Whew. And now the air touch, to just like the bellows, just keeping the fire alive. Soft, airy touch. So it comes off, it touches very softly, like a whisper of a touch around your foot. Now, this demonstration was basically to show you that there's ways in which different parts of the body connect and relax us and relax the pelvic floor. I want you now to place both feet on the ground lovingly, like you're kissing the earth. And I want you to feel the difference between your ability to be receptive, to be a receptive vessel to draw up the earth's energy. Let's breathe up the earth, and it doesn't matter that you're inside and the earth is very powerful. The pranic field of the earth is available here. Breathe up the earth through your feet and imagine this breath coming up to the center of your feet, inside the meridian points on the inside of your legs, all the way up to your pubic bone. And just notice which foot. Notice the difference between each foot and how this energy rises up. Feel the sensation in the opening in the foot that you just massaged. And let that foot guide you into opening your pelvic floor. She's saying, look, this feels so good. You can do it. The pelvic floor is saying, wow. Oh, wow. Yes. Okay. Let me try that too. Let me relax. Beautiful. Yes. So my mouth is generating a lot of saliva. That's information that there's oxytocin, this love hormone. So there's practices that I do with binding the feet with rope to work on these meridians, and it activates the oxytocin, and this is the hormone that helps relax and the uterus to give birth, but it also helps us to relax and have orgasm and live orgasmically. So what I'd like to invite you to do is, after this session, is to make time to do the other foot. Make time to the other foot by yourself in the quiet to integrate this whole call. You've been given a lot of information, and the second foot massage, make sure you do it because it'll keep you balanced. And just make sure you keep breathing into your womb while you do it. And next time we meet, we'll go over the meridian points, and we'll actually get to stand up and dance these hips in connection with the opening of the feet and how we can dance with the earth and be a co-creator in allyship with the earth. So I'm so excited to be with you, and thank you, ladies. Thank you, Hannah, for having me. Mwah.
Wow, what a beautiful, beautiful note to close on. Having gone through this journey together tonight, following that red thread of our menstrual journey into some scientific and hormonal understanding of menstruation and ritual practice and self-care. Thank you, everyone, so much. Thank you, Judea, Christina, Ali, Ashia. I also want to give a tremendous nod of love and appreciation to our 4 other presenters who weren't a part of our call today, but are certainly going to be joining us and offering their wisdom. I want to call in our dear sister Iona Jones, who's going to be speaking to us in the course about womb wisdom, listening to our innermost whispers, honoring our emotions and the wisdom they bring, and how we can be authentically accessing that energy. I also want to give some love to dear sister Suri Brownlee, who's going to be speaking to us about transforming pain into pleasure, proclaiming our moon cycles as an ally for healing and empowerment. She'll offer some guided soul retrievals, sacred songs, yoni gazing, and blood art. And she'll be talking to us also about how to be declaring our traumas as tools of transformation. We also have incredible blood alchemist Freya McFarlane, who's going to be offering secrets of blood alchemy, preparing, preserving, and practicing everyday blood magic. So she's going to be getting into the alchemical mysteries a little bit, blood tincturing, and playing with some alchemical sex magic and semen mysteries as well, because semen is the masculine equivalent in many ways of menstruation, and so how we can be bringing those energies together. And then, of course, our dear soul sister, Luna Lynx, who's going to be speaking about blood and sex magic, the power of sex to improve our menstrual cycle, self-pleasure, orgasms, and squirting to alleviate symptoms, penetration to release stagnation, use of blood for skincare, tree sex, and receiving sexual healing from nature. She's also going to be playing with some of the trans experience and introducing menstruation and other genders, and how to be creating a sexual connection with our blood, and how to be choosing a partner and sharing this menstrual journey with our partners as well. So as you all have had an opportunity to hear, the wealth and full spectrum of knowledge that's going to be coming through and sharing in this upcoming course is really phenomenal. If you do feel called to join us, registration is still open. There are payment plans available. And we also have a promotional allyship discount available for the next week. And this is a really important thing to speak upon because of the graphic and adult nature of this course. We're not actually able to boost the posts through Facebook. And so we're very much relying on the network of sisterhood to help to spread the word about this pioneering program and virtual event. So if you have a desire to be involved, if monetary manifestation is a challenge for you, reach out to me through the Facebook realms. You'll find me, Hannah Bora Baby, or through Temple Gaia Tantra on Facebook as well. Reach out to me, let me know that you're interested, and I'll send some details your way. Certainly, please feel free to share this video around your network. It'll be posted in the Blood Mysteries Online Seminar Series Facebook event page. We'll also be posting it on our Facebook group, the Blood Mysteries Global Sisterhood, which I invite everyone here to join, because we'll be sharing information not just about this course, but it's a platform for other sisters who are doing this work in the world to be sharing about their offerings and just the a platform to be bringing that information and that energy together into a really cohesive space. And if you are feeling really juiced up and ready to dive in, then you can go ahead and register through teachable.com. You'll find us at templegaiaonline.teachable.com. And Ali has just added a link in the chat thread here, so you can go directly to that. Again, we'll be kicking off with our new moon ceremony on March 6th, and we really hope to see you there. So let's all just close with one hand on our heart and one hand on our womb, offering gratitude to every spirit, every being that has been here, a part of our journey this evening, who have been supporting us in getting to this place in our lives. Our ancestors who've been holding this wisdom and safekeeping for us, just waiting for us to reach that point in time where we can bring this wisdom through and start owning it without the fear of persecution that we might have experienced in past lives. Thank you, ancestors, for holding this wisdom, and thank you for sharing it with us now. And thank you to all of you incredible, brave beings. From my womb to your womb, blessed be. Happy 222.
Blessed be.
Blessed
We love you all.
Bye.
Such a joy. Have a beautiful weekend.
Till we meet again, sisters.
Blessed be. Thank you for being here.
I just stopped the live stream. There we go. Yeah. Thank you all, sisters.
Bye.
Beautiful. Is everybody here?
Yep. Yep. So I'm gonna end our call. Yeah. Thank you, Naomi. Thank you, Leanne. Awesome. All right. Thank you, all of you beautiful sisters. I so enjoyed all of your medicine today.
It was so fun. Each little layer. Really wonderful to be getting to know you all.
You too, love.
I wish we could be in the same
Group hug.
Love you, and I want to dance with you and touch you. And see you.
Yeah.
Someday.
So amazing.
Well, soon I'm gonna end the meeting, and we love you all. Thanks for everyone for joining.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in, for helping to spread the word too. Love you all.
Love you, Hannah.
Yay, womb weavers.